Hello, or should I say hola.
Hi guys.
Welcome to the next episode of the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast.
Coming to you live on location from Tenerife.
Tenerife. So we thought we'd film a brief intro now, and as per usual, the bulk of the episode will be filmed tomorrow in the living room. But we thought, we promised an episode on location, and we'd film the intro here.
It is absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't been to Tenerife, 100% would recommend you get yourself down here. I mean, we're both full of colds, but that's not Tenerife's fault. We had them at home before we came, didn't we?
Yeah, we brought them to Tenerife.
It is gorgeous. We're not on a rooftop pool. We've been at the beach all day. Let me show you our view. Look at that. Gorgeous.
So it's been a fun few days, hasn't it, Hayley?
Yep. It's been just a time to push the pause button, just recharge a little bit. We haven't done much other than lounge on a beach, have we?
No.
We did do a boat party.
Yeah, did a boat party. and a little bit of go-karting.
A little bit of go-karting, yeah.
But beyond that, it's just been sitting on a beach and swimming in the ocean.
Absolutely chill vibes.
Yeah, has been needed because when we come back, we've got something massive. We've been talking about this for a while.
We've been teasing this for ages.
Yeah, been working on it for 5 months now, I think.
Yeah.
And it's coming to you next week. Yeah, it's big. It is big. So watch out for that. So that's why I think this little break a few days before was needed.
Yes.
Because we're ready to jump back in and smash it, as the kids say.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's just a brief Tenerife intro for you. Get to see us in the sunshine, and then normal service will be resumed for the rest of the podcast episode.
See you shortly.
See you there. So, for those who are watching, you'll notice we've changed. We're in different clothes, we're in a different location. If you're listening, well, nothing's changed.
Sadly, we're not sat on a rooftop in Tenerife anymore. We're back at home in our living room.
Yeah. Normal service resumed.
Yes. Although we don't typically get the holiday blues, do we? We always say this.
Oh, it doesn't bother me at all.
People say, "Oh, it's so gutted to be home."
Back to reality.
Back to reality. Yeah.
I enjoy reality.
Yeah.
No, I'm enjoying it, and I've got a few holidays booked this year anyway.
Yep. We've got a few holidays this booked.
We've got a few, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's we, isn't it? Yeah.
It is we.
Yeah, you're coming along, aren't you?
Oh, you're coming along with me?
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. That's one way to look at it.
You're privileged enough to be coming along with me.
Privileged to be joining you on holiday. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, we enjoy what we do anyway, so there's none of this, we're coming back. Day one, we're recording a podcast.
Yeah. There's a saying, isn't there? I can't remember who says it, but it goes something like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean that's the saying. I mean, I still think it's work. You still gotta get into work mode. But yeah, I take the point.
No, but it's not like hot. It's like, gotta go to work, is it?
Yeah, but I mean, long and short, there's none of this. Oh, going back off holiday. I'm pumped to get back, pumped to get going. So, and particularly given what we mentioned at the start of this episode, we've got some big stuff coming.
Oh yeah.
So so there's none of that. So crack on. You'll notice Hayley is looking quite tanned, and I'm still as pale as the computer I'm working on.
No, you got a little bit of a tan.
Got a bit. We'd have missed certain bits there,
Yeah, we had a late flight yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we spent like the last day on the beach, and we had a few days where it was quite overcast, but it's still like the sun is really powerful in Tenerife, so you don't realise how powerful it can be.
Yeah.
Although saying that though, we still, we respect the sun. We still put on our sun creams.
Oh,
but we've clearly, like, if you're watching this, you can see patches where, like, John's got the sun here, I've got the sun here. But yeah, in terms of the Tanning Olympics, I'm definitely more advanced than John in that area.
Yeah.
As you like to say, you go on the moon bed, don't you, John?
That's what someone said to me in school years ago. Someone was talking about like sunbeds and all the rest of it. And someone went, Dovey goes on the moon beds.
And you still say it to this day.
Yeah, I am very pale.
Anyway, let's continue with the podcast.
Yeah, let's crack on. So we need to name the episode. So this is episode 58. As per usual, we're getting to the point now where Formula 1 drivers' numbers are few and far between. Football numbers don't tend to go that high. Hard to find wrestling connections. So what I've done once again is looked at what the 58th ever Grand Prix was, which was the 1956 Italian Grand Prix. And it was won by... can you stab a guess at who won that race?
Give me some clues.
British.
Is it my guessing a person or a team?
Person.
When was it?
1956. You probably don't know many drivers from the 1950s. Can you think of any really famous British racing drivers from way back when? He was knighted.
No.
Okay. Sir Stirling Moss.
Never heard of him.
Wow. Wow.
I would have never got
We
it.
need to educate you, Hayley. Never heard of Stirling Moss. Wow. People say, you know, he's in the conversation, and a lot of people put him as number one as sort of best driver to have never won the World Championship.
Wow. That is
So
big.
he's up there. So in that sort of conversation, who have you got? You've probably got your Mark Webbers, Felipe Massas, Daniel Ricciardo's, probably people like that in that conversation. But yeah, a lot of people say best driver to have never won a world title.
Well, there we go.
There we are. So welcome to episode 58, the Sir Stirling Moss special.
Welcome. This is going to be a shorter than normal episode, just because we have returned from our holidays. We got back very early hours. We've got a lot to be catching up on, ready for a very busy week next week.
Yeah.
We've got a busy weekend ahead of us as well.
That
So,
we have.
yeah, we hope you'll forgive us. This is more of a drop-in, saying hello, giving you guys a quick update, and normal service will resume next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, update-wise...
What have we been up to?
Yeah. So, we've been away for 5 days. So, we went on a boat party.
We went on a boat party. We spent a lot of time on the beach, a lot of time eating some beautiful meals. So that was this week. This weekend, where are we going on Sunday? Dunham Massey?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. You're the one who's made the plans.
I'm not the one who made the plans.
But you're the only person out of the two of us that's in on the plans.
I think that's what it's called. It's something that's in the National Trust anyway.
We're going to catch up with John's uni friends.
Uni friends.
Uni friends who are now both married with babies. And there's one baby we haven't met yet, so I'm very excited. We're going there for a walk, for some lunch.
Yeah.
And then Sunday. Try and look excited.
Just thinking about all the money it's going to cost me.
We are going wedding ring shopping. Back to the place where you got our engagement ring from.
Yeah.
Yes. So John's wallet might be a little bit lighter come Monday. It's all good fun. 5 months to go.
Yeah. Yeah, just over, isn't it? Yeah. Just over.
Well, it's practically a couple of days, so
Yeah.
you can say 5 months.
I think you can.
I think that's allowed. Next week?
Next week, well, something massive, which we're not going to reveal, but something massive is coming.
Next week's podcast, we will be talking all about it, won't we?
Oh, yeah.
So you've only got 1 more week to wait.
You'll be hearing all about it. You probably will have seen about it by the time the podcast episode comes out, but then when you're like, wow, that's such a big thing, we want to hear John and Hayley talking about it.
You want to know more about it, all
Listen
will
in.
be revealed next week.
Listening. We've been... we never really stop talking about speed meeting, do we? So
No.
we've been discussing some other big plans. So some other big ideas have been percolating. So you'll probably see a few other things from us soon. But
Some that are just speed mooting and some that involve collaborations with some other very exciting people.
Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Papers for the next advocacy club go out next week. So this month we've got public speaking,
The use of notes.
and given the questions we've had recently, quite a topical one. And we also have the plea and mitigation this month as well. So if you're in the legal club, you get to practice that. It's a really practical piece of advocacy. If you go into crime, it's something you're going to do fairly regularly, particularly even from the outset, whether you're a solicitor, barrister, it doesn't matter, you'll do loads of these. And if you're in our plea and mitigation competition in June, it's very important because it's a good chance for you to practice. This has been a previous competition problem, so it's perfect for you.
Yep.
Then, of course, we've got the plea and mitigation competition next month. So we've
God, that's coming around quick.
Yeah. So there's not many places left, but if you want to sign up and take part, please do so. It's a great opportunity for you. Even if you don't even want to go into crime, it's a good way to showcase your advocacy skills. Very little preparation involved. Everything's done within a day. Great prizes. You're judged by barristers, solicitors. Looks great on the CV. So there's no reason not to, really, is there?
Definitely not. And the barristers and solicitors that judge, they're not just criminal practitioners either. They come from all disciplines, so it's a good chance to network and speak to people from a wealth of experience.
Absolutely. So a lot coming up.
This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
We thought we'd talk about a few bits and bobs today. As you've said, Hayley, it's a short one.
Yes.
But I saw a headline on the Law Society Gazette, and I've seen this has happened a few times in the States now.
We knew it was coming.
But it was always going to come. And I think there's a judgment that's come out in relation to the use of made-up authorities in pleadings.
Yes. I think it doesn't... from what I've seen on the couple of captions and couple of articles I've read, I don't think the judgment itself says, that they've used AI. But it's heavily implied that they've used AI because the judgments and the citations don't exist.
I think there was 5 cases that were included, something like that.
Crazy.
But I mean, it's very easy to go on ChatGPT and say, draft me this, and then away you go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using ChatGPT as a starting point.
Oh no, it's
and
brilliant.
lots of lawyers say it, and it's a good way of saving time initially. If you need a baseline or something. But then you've got to put the work in yourself and flesh it out. You've got to go in, think about it, put your own style in, and then principally, if you're going to be citing law, if you're going to be citing legislation, authorities, etc., check them and read them.
Yeah, I would never ask. Just don't ask ChatGPT to give you authority or complete your legal research, because what's it looking at? You don't know what's behind that. You can't. It's a machine. How's its brain working? You don't know.
Well,
it doesn't say to, does it? Well, I've looked at this website and this website. You don't know where it's coming from. You can't verify that source.
I've not used ChatGPT in my legal practice yet. I mean, the thing with crime is, we don't do as much drafting, so we generally tend to draft defence statements and skeleton arguments and the like, and I've got my own style for doing that anyway, so I've not used ChatGPT yet, but I can understand where in other areas of law it saves time. For example, you were saying...
I remember when I left private practice, it was starting to be toyed with a little bit, so things like, report on titles, that's just a review and, summarise this document, maybe it could do things like that. And I imagine, I don't know this at all, and I'd be really interested to see some commentary around it, but I imagine the larger firms, like the firms that I trained and worked with, will probably control how it's used a great deal.
Yeah.
I bet there's rules in place to, the paralegals and the trainees that you're not to use ChatGPT to draft or do this or do this. There'll probably, will be AI being used in some clever ways. For example, we already had stuff in place in one of my old firms where documents and letters and things that we did all the time, we'd create a template, so you just put in, if it was the same document every time, you just put in the client's names, the client's addresses and stuff. So automation is a form of AI, isn't it?
I suppose it is. That's been used for donkeys,
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that's probably the way, they'll start using AI in some sort of controlled method. You can use AI for this document, for this program, it's been tested, it's safe. I don't think they'll be letting their solicitors and associates and paralegals just freely use ChatGPT. I just can't see it.
No.
It's too dangerous, and B, I bet half the clients won't be very happy with it.
Not when you're paying those sorts of rates for it.
They found out,
Yeah. But I can see where, it's definitely a tool, and it's definitely going to be used more and more in the industry, and it definitely is a good tool to use alongside, but you just can't use it as a throw that in and away you go.
No.
But the reason that I've mentioned this is because, and this is something I talk about all the time in relation to mooting, when you draft a skeleton argument, when you go into a moot, if you're going to cite a case, if you're going to rely upon some case law, know what the case is about, read it. And, you know, in the past, where that became an issue was, for example, so you might, for example, go through a textbook, the issue might be offer and acceptance, you go through, you see a sentence in there that says a certain case is helpful, you rely upon it, or you might even go onto one of the legal databases and you read the case summary, and then you know what the case summary says about the case, what the ratio is, etc., and then you throw that in. But I always say it's very, very dangerous, because unless you've read every line of that judgment, you don't know what's in there. There might be something that really kiboshes your whole argument, so you've got to be very careful. And that's why I say, in a moot, don't rely upon a case unless you've read that case and you know it.
Yeah.
And the same goes. So this is a perfect example of why that is important.
Yeah, if the solicitors in this case would have thought, I'm going to just go check those authorities and have a read of those cases, they would have realised that they don't exist.
Yeah. So you can see the real life danger there. So,
and I imagine there's going to be some pretty big consequences to that, because it's an ethical issue, I suppose.
Could be.
You're misleading the court at the very least.
Yeah.
So we'll have to watch and see what happens.
You can't make an argument that's not properly arguable. I mean, we're literally we've just seen the headline this morning, So I need to read the judgments actually.
Yeah.
Need to take my own advice. Take my own advice here, but the point being, I've seen the headline, I know what's happened. It's
Don't do it, guys.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on.
We spoke recently, well, I think it might have been recently, about bad character.
It was a good while ago,
Oh, was it a while ago?
It was a good while ago, yeah.
And what we tend to do is we clip, I say we, it's Hayley who does all the video editing and YouTubing and all the rest of it, but we clip our podcast down, and if we have a good segment, we'll throw it up and put it on YouTube, so I think we spoke a while ago about bad character, and a segment went up. And I did a segment talking very, very generally about bad character. And within there, I made a throwaway comment that there are 7 gateways for bad character. So we've had a comment on the video, and quite a helpful comment that said, can you discuss the 7 gateways and tell us what they are? So I thought I would do that for you now. The exceptions to bad character, so i.e. when bad character can go in, comes from the Criminal Justice Act, section 101. And your 7 gateways are all contained within subsection 1, and are very helpfully set out with corresponding letters. So these are the gateways, and I'll read directly from the Criminal Justice Act. So 1011 says, in criminal proceedings, evidence of the defendant's bad character is admissible if, but only if. So it should specify as well, this is the defendant's bad character, not the bad character of a non-defendant, so somebody else in proceedings, so the defendant themselves. So paragraph A, so our first gateway, if you will, all parties to the proceedings agree to the evidence being admissible. Fairly straightforward. What we're saying here is everyone agrees, and that makes sense, doesn't it? If everyone's going to agree, bad character is going in. Gateway B, the evidence is adduced by the defendant himself or is given in answer to a question asked by him in cross-examination and intended to elicit it. So once again, this is the defendant has proffered the information, seems fairly straightforward. Doesn't really happen a great deal, but can do from time to time.
So would that be like, let me give an example, if there's a previous conviction and in part of his evidence he says, well, when I was convicted for this before, X, Y and Z, has he then brought in his own bad character? Yeah,
I suppose so, yeah. So yeah, that would exactly be the scenario. I thought you were going to talk about another one then that we're coming on to later. But no. But yeah, exactly, the defendant talking about it in that sense. C, it is important explanatory evidence. So it might be that the say for example you've got a jury trial, and in order for the jury to fully understand everything about this trial and how you've come to be here, they need to know about that bad character. Okay. Gateway D, and this is the gateway that's used probably most often. It is relevant to an important matter in issue between the defendant and the prosecution. Okay, so the way that this normally arises in practice is propensity. So what the prosecution would probably say if they were trying to bring it in through this gateway would be the defendant has done this so many times before, they've got a propensity to act in that particular way. So let's say, take a simple example, somebody's being charged with shoplifting and they've got 5 convictions in the last 3 years for shoplifting. The prosecution will say that person clearly has a propensity for that, and that's how it goes in. And the leading case on that is Crown and Hanson. It has substantial probative value in relation to an important matter in issue between the defendant and a co-defendant. So clearly this is a gateway that's used when you've got multiple defendants. Gateway F, it is important to correct the false impression given by the defendant. So the classic example of this would be a defendant who has previous convictions for other matters, and they go in and they'll say in the witness box, I'm a good guy, I've never been in trouble before. Of course, you can see where bad character will go in that scenario. And then lastly, the defendant makes an attack on another person's character. So, for example, let's say, you've got a case where it involves a complainant and a defendant. So, think any scenario, think, I don't know, an assault matter, for example. Normally this occurs in cases that can be more serious than that, but let's just take a basic 39 assault, and the defendant says, oh no, I can't have done it, this guy's clearly a liar because pick any reason why he says that person's a liar. They've attacked that person's character, and it goes in. So they might say, that person's a liar, he got done for shoplifting years ago, you've attacked his character, yours is going in. Okay, so there are your 7 gateways in relation to bad character. So you can read up on those within Section 101 of the Criminal Justice Act 2003.
Brilliant, and thanks to the person who left that comment. It's really helpful when you guys do things like that. It just helps drive our content, and we know that you're watching our videos, and when you need to hear about something a little bit more or a little bit different, it's all really helpful. And on that note, we have had a few others that will be coming up. So someone asked for a video on settlement, specifically what happens to an ongoing case when settlement is reached. So we will cover that on a future episode. And we've also been asked to cover the appeal process. So I suppose we can do that from a civil point of view and a criminal point of view.
Yeah, we can do that. And I think also, this is a quick episode, so I've literally done a whistle-stop tour and basically just giving you the headlines there as to what each one is. What we could probably do going forward is I could probably delve into each of the 7 gateways and just talk in a little more detail about them.
Yep, comment below if that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that brings us probably to the end because it's going to be a short one this week. So, we hope you've enjoyed this episode anyway. As we say, it's a quick one because we've literally just come back off holiday. We've got a few bits and bobs to sort. If you've got any questions for next week, episode 59, drop a comment below, DM us, or drop us an email, info@speedmooting.com. So that brings us to the end. If you're still listening at this point, drop us a little sunshine with the caption Tenerife. Until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoying our videos? Then we'd be super grateful if you could take a moment and subscribe to our channel.